Okay, hello YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing something kind of special. I just recently hit 350 subscribers, so this is kind of a special for you guys that are subscribed to my channel, and of course a special for anybody that's watching this right now. And if you do like this content, and you do like this kind of content, please go ahead and do hit that subscribe button to my channel. It really does help me out. Now I want to help you guys out that have been subscribing to my channel and looking at my stuff, and of course I hope that everything that I've shown you in openings and end games and tactics, I hope that all of this has helped you become a better chess player. So now I want to help you do something that I'm sure all of you really want to do. And since my channel is still really small, not everybody is going to see this trap. So this is something that you can pull off, hopefully against like really high rated competition. Okay, so a lot of people like to play the accelerated dragon with black. And actually, this opening is popular on every level. It's popular on the master level or even the international master level. Now, something that I've enjoyed doing for years is allowing people to get into this variation. It's after the moves e4, and then you see all these moves right here. The move f3 is widely considered a mistake by a lot of strong players. And this is just simply untrue, and it's just bad analysis. It's just books years ago gave the line castles, kingside, bishop c4, queen b6, and they all put exclamation marks by queen to b6, and then they put a slight advantage black next to it, which is extremely misleading because the position is equal at best. More than likely, the position is simply still slight edge white, if not very slight edge white, just very, very slight edge white. So if we're being objective about it, it's like maybe a little bit better than all zeros for white, but it's not something so extreme that we should definitely shouldn't think that this is slight advantage black. Now part of this is the major focus has been on the move bishop to b3, in which case I would kind of agree with the assessment that that's maybe very slight edge black after the move knight takes e4. And then the normal move there would be knight d5, queen a5 check, c3, and then this knight retreats to c5, and then white does get his pawn back, but his king ends up in the middle, and black's king is tucked away. That position is still approximately equal, but if anybody's better in that position, it's black. So that's where they're really getting that slight edge black from. But there was an idea that was introduced back in the 1960s by Paul Keres, and it's never been refuted. And the idea is just simply the move a3. So like if I look at, number one, look, my stats for this are insane. Like, and keep in mind, if you're looking at my stats right now and you're wondering about my stats, and you're thinking, well, that doesn't look totally insane, right? Like it's not 100% or anything like that. Keep in mind, I'm usually playing against masters, international masters, and grandmasters, right? So an 83% win ratio is ridiculously high for a move that objectively is no better than slight edge white. So if I view all games from current position right here, which I'm going to click on, right, you can see that I'm actually beating some pretty high level guys here. I beat this guy who is a national master. I actually have some wins against some international masters. This is a win against an international master. It was an 18-move game where I had a 98% accuracy. So you could potentially use this to beat an international master. So I'll show you this game. This game was played back in May of 2021. Okay, so it went bishop c4, queen b6, a3, and this is the thing that they all try to do. They all try to kind of refute this. Although in this case, this guy played, I think, a little bit better than other players. Knight g4 isn't as big of a mistake as knight takes e4. Actually, knight takes g4 is actually legitimate if played correctly. So I played f takes g4, knight takes d4, knight d5, but then my opponent transposed into a line that's actually unsound. He's actually still okay here. I think I've analyzed queen to c5 is okay. So like if we go to the game report, and we take a look at the assessment at every point here, I want you to see how the books for years have kind of gotten this wrong, right? So if we just stop at queen b6, where everybody's giving an exclam and they're saying slight edge black. Now, if it is slight edge black, 0.07 isn't exactly the world's biggest slight edge I've ever seen. And a3, you know, it's saying, wait a minute. So if we go to self-analysis here, you can see how close this is to basically just double zeros, right? So this position is basically just equal. Even if you just put the engine on and you just give it a low depth, this position is essentially equal. But people are really overestimating black's position here, and they're playing some unsound moves. So like knight g4, already an inaccuracy. It's saying, oh, now the position is plus 0.72. I take it. They play knight takes d4. Now the position is plus 2.5. Knight d5 is best. And then queen takes b2, rook a2. And basically what just happened is this queen just got trapped, right? And now after knight takes c2, I'm just going to play queen takes c2, queen e5, and unfortunately my opponent's position is just absolute junk here. He's at -4. And I actually didn't play the best move. I castled. It's actually considered a little bit better to just kind of trade off queens here. You just play bishop f4 and queen d3. This is... I always seem to forget this idea whenever I do get to this position. So that's one big improvement you can have on what I've done in the past. Although Castle's Kingside has managed to win me some games, so I'm kind of getting away with it. Part of it is a lot of people do play d6, and I have knight c7. And of course, the issue is they can't save the rook, because like if rook b8, I'm playing bishop takes a7. So now I'm up a piece, and now I'm about to be up a whole rook. So now I'm up a full rook in this position, and I'm still attacking, so I'm like at plus 6.3. And yeah, so my opponent just resigned right here because I'm going to win another piece. So this is a really good trap, right? You play a3. And then all of a sudden, you know, I mean, the position's still, it's about level, okay? But none of the tactical ideas work. So, like, if they play the move queen takes b2, you have the move knight a4, trapping your queen. You can see the bar goes way, 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 way up because we're winning the whole queen. Yay! So if they play the move knight takes e4, see that bar starts going up again. The idea is knight d5. Okay, and then they're going to play one of two moves, one of which I actually have a 100% score against, which is queen c5. They can actually play queen a5, they can play queen b2, or they can play queen c5. And in any case, you're going to be doing pretty good. So like if queen a5, you just play b4, then when they retreat, you take your free knight, right? And you maintain an advantage here, right? He's got some compensation for the material, but not much. So you're just clearly better here. The other way they can play this is they can play the move queen takes b2, in which case you're going to take. Okay, and then if they take with the bishop, you trap the queen, and that queen doesn't get away. And then my experience has taught me that actually the most precise move is king f1, because it avoids the queen getting away with check. So like king f2 is a little less precise because it allows bishop e1 check, where their queen can, you know, just kind of, you know, run for the hills next move with, you know, something like queen g7. So after king f1, the queen is firmly trapped, and then after, you know, takes, you take back with the bishop and you're up a whole queen. So that line doesn't work either. So like pretty much all the direct tries fail. So knight takes, knight d5, queen here, takes, oh, not there, takes. And they can, of course, take back with the knight. This is a little bit more precise, and it's very similar to the other line where I had played f takes g4. We play rook a2, takes, and then typically they retreat their queen. It makes it easier on you if they trade right away, because you have these two threats available to you. You have both knight e7 and knight c7, and a lot of times they'll block the less dangerous threat, which is actually knight e7. They'll play the move e6, and they'll end up losing their rook pretty much immediately to this idea. So they shouldn't trade queens right away, but if they don't trade queens right away, your best idea is actually to just kind of chase the queen trade, play bishop f4 and play queen d3. And then really they don't have much of a choice. They need to exchange queens at this point. So this is probably the best way to go. So in the past, I've actually castled here, but apparently this is kind of a second-rate move, and it can potentially let black get back into the game. So the other line that they can play, and this is kind of a fun one to kind of look at, the other line they can play is they can play the move queen c5, and I'll just show you a statistic here. I've actually had a lot of people play queen c5 against me, and I'll show you this kind of almost... I have played 38 games in this position, And I have won 38 games from this position. I have a 100% score. So if you want something that works 100% of the time, once they play queen c5, it is game over. So you can view all my games from this position. I'll go ahead and show you real quick just to see the type of players you can beat potentially with this trap, right? I've got a national master in here. Most of these guys are rated over 2200 or over 2300. The average player that I play is rated between 2200 and 2500. This guy's rated 2419. This is an international master, right? So I beat another international master in 16 moves in this line. I beat another national master in 19 moves in this line, right? And if I scroll down, I'm sure we got at least one more titled player in here somewhere. Probably wasn't advertising their title, but I bet at least one more of these guys was titled. When somebody has like a 2369 rating or a 2400 rating, usually they're titled. They're just not putting their title up. But you can just see, this is something where you could potentially get a quick win against, and here's an FM that I beat as well. So this is something you can potentially get a quick win against a FIDE master, against an international master, against pretty much any caliber of player. So I'll go ahead and click on this game against this international master. You can see I had a 95.1% accuracy. The game lasted 16 moves. Queen b6, a3, knight takes, knight d5, queen c5 question mark. This is the idea. You take here, and they can't take the knight because knight e7 check picks up the queen. After queen takes, you have knight e7 check anyway because you're holding your knight. And then after king here, you take here. And it's not just that they're down the piece, it's that their position is basically garbage otherwise. They have basically no development, and then white's plan is dead simple. White's just going to castle, and he's going to bring his rook up, and he's going to just shuffle his material to the dark squares, and everything just flows together so easily and so beautiful, it's very hard to even make a mistake as white. So if you just remember this simple plan, you just bring this, you bring this in here. And at this point, my opponent resigned, which actually just kind of shows how strong of a player he is. He realized the position was lost. If we retreat here and we exchange on the dark squares, this position is basically over. You're just not surviving. We're going to be capturing on f6 next, and that's going to be the end of the game. We're already at +7, give or take. Okay, so you want to play this, but you need to also know that when you do play this, the position itself is still fundamentally sound. So just to kind of complete your repertoire and to make you understand Paul Carey's original idea, if they hang back and they do nothing, part of the original idea is to bring this knight back to e2, right? And then if they just keep kind of hanging out, your idea is to let this pawn capture kind of stay alive for a minute. At no point is this pawn capture going to be a good idea. If at any point they play the move queen b2 question mark, when you can see the big bar is going up, and the reason it's going up is because the move bishop to b3 will trap that queen, and the threat of rook a2 is pretty much unstoppable. And we're going to be able to trap that queen and have a huge advantage. So at no point are they going to be able to quit queen b2. So you're going to initiate these traps, and you're just going to kind of keep reinitiating them. And if they don't fall into any of these traps, the long and short of it is, after everything gets said and done, you're going to have a slight edge by basically just playing the move pawn to c4. You can see we have a very, very slight edge here, maybe 0.17 or something like that. And then, of course, you can just play chess. So it's a very trappy opening, but at the same time, it's an opening that's going to be fundamentally sound. Now, there's other things, of course, people can try against this. After the move queen b6, a3, they can give other moves a shot here. So I'm not going to say that there's, nothing else. One try is instead of d6, they can try e6. And then I would actually recommend the move knight a4. And I don't remember if the computer loves this move or not, but it's a pretty cool move. The idea is after queen a5, we're actually going to play the move b4. And I think actually the computer doesn't even see this right away. It says b4 is an inaccuracy. But at the same time, yeah, it's changing its mind a few times. If we throw this on self-analysis, if you let the computer run for any length of time, it actually starts having trouble with this. One of the ideas is they can't take the knight because we are actually trapping the queen. So they're going to have to retreat the queen. And if I remember correctly, the computer recommends actually a bad retreat, which is one of the reasons I kind of liked this line. They recommend queen c7, and then we can actually go after these dark squares. And actually, this is part of kind of a sacrificial idea. One of the ideas that I had was to castle, play d5, shuffle back to e2, and then I would actually let them capture not just 1 pawn but 2 pawns, and I'm just kind of going to target these dark squares, and I'm going to have a long-term advantage. And even though Stockfish doesn't love it, actually Leela Chess Zero loves it. And if you let Stockfish run for a little while, the assessment kind of starts, just drifting towards white, because in the long term it's very difficult to get these pieces out, and it's actually very difficult to defend these long squares, like these dark squares. It's actually a very difficult thing. So this is like a really cool opening on both a fundamental level, and it's a cool opening on a trappy level, and it's a cool opening on a positional level that you can spring on people. I think like the only other variation you have to know is actually this knight g4 idea, which is actually not that bad. If after knight g4, f takes g4, they play the move bishop to d4, and as you can see, the self-analysis doesn't hate this quite as much. And then you play the move knight d5, queen c5, and a lot of people, if I didn't have the engine running, you would tell me that black was better here. And a lot of people truly believe that black is better here when they see this position. They see these doubled pawns, and they see all this trading going on in the middle of the board, and they assume this must be better for black. But the truth is white has more space, and in chess, space is an advantage, and this is something that computers tend to measure very well. And basically, white's just doing very good here, even if queens come off the board. And actually, in some cases, especially if queens come off the board. So like if bishop d4, queen d4, queen d4, knight d4, knight e7 is really good for white. So they're going to have to play knight takes d4, and then you basically just have to remember queen d3, b5, and then c3 is the move. Also, castle's queenside is a good move here. So you can just castle, and after castle's queenside, if they take on c4, you're going to be taking here. You're going to be playing queen takes d4. And after they take, you're going to be playing knight takes e7, king g7, rook takes d4. And because of our space advantage and because of our slight material advantage, you can just see the advantage just keeps climbing and climbing. White's already at +2. So that's really one of the only other lines they can try, is they can try this positional knight to g4. But in any case, no matter how they play this should not be slight advantage black. This should be slight advantage white, no matter how you play it. And of course, just the fact that there's going to be a large number of players that are going to lose their queen on the spot here. They're just going to play queen b2, knight a4. You can win a whole queen here. If I just searched for this position in my database, just the number of people that have simply played the move queen b2, I have 5 games here. Of course, I have a 100% score. I played knight a4 in all 5 games. And in all 5 games, I won the queen, and in all 5 games, I won the game. And here we see at least one national master has fallen for that. And the rest of my opponents, the ratings were 2185, 2341, 2301, and 2205. So probably one more titled player kind of hiding in there somewhere. Perfect record, 5 games, 5 wins. Most of my games lasted 10 moves. Most of my opponents just, some of my opponents just, 2 of my opponents just resigned on the spot as soon as they lost their queen. And then I guess the other 3 played a little bit longer. But I'm actually a good enough player that if I'm up a whole queen, I can usually win. So that is your trick. That is your idea. That's your tactic that you can use to potentially beat like a really high-rated player with just a little bit of study. You can play this a3 move in an accelerated dragon, and you can trap people. So this is kind of like my gift to you guys for subscribing to my channel. And I hope you can go out there and just memorize this one line. Go out there and, just try to run into a titled player that plays this line. Get your first win against that FM or that IM, and, build up your confidence, or just get your first win against that 2300. Okay, so anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope you learned something new about chess, and thank you very much for watching. And again, if you want more content like this, just please hit that subscribe button. Thank you.